No Simple Road is stoked to have Sunset Lake CBD back with us as our sponsor. Sunset Lake is the real deal. If you've looked around trying to find CBD and it just didn't do what it was supposed to do, this is the place you need to go. They've got every kind of product you can imagine, including CBD tinctures with sleep gummies that are great for getting to bed, CBD gummy bears and reishi-infused chews that can help bring you a little bit of calm in a stressful day. They've got salve. They've got smokable hemp flower that's great for folks like me that don't want to get stoned and paranoid but want to have the benefits of cannabis. Well, now you got it. And they even carry CBD products for your pets, man. I'm saying this is Darwin approved stuff. Go over to sunsetlakecbd.com and check out the full range of what they have. This is Vermont grown, right to your door, and they're giving you 20% off. So put in the promo code NSR20 when you're checking out. You're going to get 20% off your whole order. And I know you're going to love it. They even have subscription options open for you, so you don't forget to get your medicine. Go check out Sunset Lake CBD, everybody.
Why can't every day be like this? No Simple Road. Yeah, no, I've been on that road too.
And we're back.
And action.
Go. Everybody,
Hey.
be interesting. Do it.
Hey, what's happening? This is Apple.
La, 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 it's Mel.
And hey, zing, zing, zing. It's Aaron. Hey.
Whoa, everybody. Yay. You're listening. Yay.
Need like a that'd
be cool. Yeah. How about that?
How about bear near bear?
No, nobody has that. Hey, welcome back to the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind, brought to you in collaboration with Melt Premium Mushroom Chocolates.
Melt.
Yeah, man. Mushroom chocolates. You know what mushroom chocolates are. I don't got to explain that to you, but what I do have to explain to you is that these are actually the best in the biz. There's a lot of mushroom chocolates out there, but none of them are created by our No Simple Road family, and none of them are premium chocolate, and none of them have as many flavors and configurations.
I was going to say, the way they do their blend, I've had many mushroom chocolates, and sometimes they're really chalky and
Gritty.
Not like blended enough.
Very
These
true,
are
that
perfect.
gritty.
I mean, they live up to the name, like Melt.
Yeah, and also,
And they're the perfect dose.
Also-
The Melt minis and the chocolate bars, just like the 1 or 2 squares, perfect dose.
Yeah, their dosage instructions are spot on.
Also, I've heard some people complain about, like, when mushroom chocolate, they take mushrooms or mushroom chocolates and their stomach gets bothered by it.
Oh, absolutely.
These do not do that. These are nice and easy on the tummy. So what you're going to do, what I am going to explain to you is go to Instagram, follow at Melt Mushrooms, MELTMUSHROOMS, and shoot them a DM. Tell them that you are part of the No Simple Road family, and you are going to get 20% off your
20%
order.
is a good percentage.
Because that's how we roll over here. We are taking care of you in all different ways. Yes. All right.
And this allows you to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Well, with our help.
Yeah. Well, that's true. With our help and with Melt's help.
That's right.
It's a whole collaboration here.
My help or Melt's help?
Well, let's hear it from Melt, everybody.
Yay, Melt.
Melt will never make you say,
Thank you.
no, not ever.
You're getting used out of that button.
Yeah. So normally on the rewind, the way that this works is
I like how you say normally and it's different all the time.
There is no normal here.
Come up with a topic and then I don't tell Apple and Mel what we're going to talk about. And then we come down here and I turn on the mic and then we start talking. But today I decided to change it up and take some of the pressure off of myself. And I asked
That's
Mel.
pressure?
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah, Aaron, figure out what we're going to talk about on the rewind today. Yes, that's a little bit of pressure. So
I say usually you always got many things, but no, I get it. This is kind of good.
So today I this morning I asked Apple and Mel, I was like, hey, instead of me coming up with what we're going to talk about on the rewind, why don't you guys think about what you would want to discuss, and then we'll do it. And I have no idea what we're going to do. So
no, he doesn't. But Mel, I must tell you, he tried to get a pH from me earlier. Was
What?
like a personal hint.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell
He was like,
no.
so what is it? And I was like, no, that's not the way it works.
I wasn't thinking about the whole
I know
Secrecy Act.
you immediately gave me a look like, oh, I didn't mean to ask that. I was just making sure you were thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I also just told Aaron that I didn't have one when I in fact did, just to see his
Ooh.
face.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's hilarious. You're a regular comedian.
Not really.
All right. Apple.
I don't know. You're pretty funny sometimes. You make me laugh.
We
You
got-
make yourself laugh.
Yeah,
I do.
she
I make
definitely
myself
does.
laugh the most.
Say pizza, and if you like it or not.
Yes.
Okay.
But it hurts my
Aaron.
stomach.
It's good.
Yeah, me. I like it too. Okay, Mel, what do you got?
Okay, so
Thanks for showing up today, everybody. We'll see you next week. Remember, take care of each other. Smile at a stranger.
All right.
Say, oh no.
All right. Well, I'll go first, and I'll give it a little context too, because my birthday, everybody knows, is come and gone, and turning 55 made me start thinking more about things, and a little bit before my birthday, like looking,
what kind of things?
paying more attention to like actors and musicians' ages, like we always do that. It's just a number. But as you get older, sometimes you start putting things in perspective. Like one that really hit me that I said to you guys was like, I saw Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth turned 72 recently. I knew she was a little bit older than me growing up listening to Sonic Youth, but like to think that Kim Gordon's edgy, which she still is.
Funky.
She's
an
just
edgy
come out with
senior
an
citizen.
album, and she's going on a world tour, like all over the world. And but that number 72, I was like, oh my God. And I think my parents are 81, both of them, and it just made me start thinking about things. And the other day I was talking to my nephew.
Wait, hang on. I saw John Bon Jovi on the cover of the AARP magazine, because I get the AARP magazine.
Yeah.
And he looks like a senior citizen.
He's 60, I think.
Okay,
I forgot
anyway.
what it says. I read part of the article and it was like, holy shit.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, things like that. Because, back in our day, like Bon Jovi was the man. Slippery with wet, chick man, like
When
all this
wet.
stuff.
When wet, Apple.
Slippery when wet.
Wet.
But what came up with my nephew the other day, and he made me feel good about this, and it made me reflect on like when we were at Rhythms Ground last week, and everybody sat down and we did like the conch thing where everybody
Actually,
kind of.
you sat down and everybody stood
That's
up.
true. I sat down and everybody surrounded me. This is true. I sat down.
If you're gonna tell the story, don't lie
Semantics.
about it. Don't lie,
Semantics.
Apple.
So, but what we started talking about was, and this is kind of the topic, legacy. What your legacy is and what legacy means to you.
That actually really ties into
Because
my thing that you have no idea.
Okay.
But it's perfect.
Okay, well, we were talking about it because William, my nephew, he's been married a little over a year now, and they made the decision right away. He got a vasectomy before their wedding, as they don't want any children. And for a long time, when I think of legacy, first thing that comes to mind is like what you're leaving to people when you leave behind.
Well, that is what it means.
It means two things, and then we looked this up. Number one, the most common thing people think of is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will.
That's not what I thought.
And number two is the long-lasting impact of particular events, actions, etc., that took place in the past or of a person's life.
That's what I thought.
So anybody can have a legacy, because I thought that's what he brought up was like, I'm not going to have a legacy to leave to my kids because we decided we're not going to have kids. And then I'm, 55, single. I don't have kids. I mean, there's always the possibility still, but I don't see that. So William said, he goes, well, first off, dude, we all have a legacy because it's what you leave behind to everybody you knew. And sometimes, especially artists and stuff like that, people they don't even know the legacy they left behind. And the first thing he brought up, he's all, you built a legacy, and you've mentioned it before with the show, with No Simple Road. We've created a legacy that's going to live beyond us, that people, it'll be there for everything nowadays is, once it's on the internet, it's there forever.
So
people are going to be able to look for many, many years when we're gone to see, you know, that's part of a legacy of what we're talking about and preserving the artists and stuff like that and our experiences. But the thing at Rhythms Ground that got me was like shit, I'm already building a legacy which of like goodwill and friendship and stuff, kind of what everybody was saying to me, like you make me smile, you know, you're so kind to people and stuff. So I was just thinking about that a lot in the last week. And then the other weird thing that I didn't really want to talk about much, but I wanted to bring that up too, was the dream I had last week where my sister came to me. Yeah, and that I mean, that doesn't really go in with legacy other than her legacy, which she left to me, is I always listened to her and looked up to her, as you do a lot of times with older sisters and brothers and stuff. I had a dream last week. I felt I was sleeping and I'm in the car with my sister, and I've not felt her presence in a long time. She passed in 2012, but I haven't felt her presence. I feel it here and there, but this was strong. Like she was in the room with me. We're driving in a car, and all of a sudden we're in a car accident, and just boom, and I hit the side of my face, and I woke up the first time like, oh, that was fucking gnarly. Oh, whatever. Go back to bed. Same exact dream happened again. This time I wake up with the side of my face hurting a little bit. Had a hard time going back to sleep, and then it happened a third time, and then I had a real hard time going back to sleep, and my face hurt more. But that's what got this kind of go. Is my birthday, that thing that happened with my sister, the feeling so strong enough that I canceled my work day. I felt like I, you know, still wondering if I dodged an accident or something. I was extra klutzy that day. I think I told Mel that. I was a klutz today too. I was like dropping shit, knocking shit over. But like I said, that part doesn't have much to do with legacy, but that's part of the story where my mind's been. And then that conversation I had with my nephew about legacy. So my question is kind of like, what does legacy mean to you? And like, what is your legacy that you feel that you've built or are building? Because you guys have kids and a grandson now.
Yeah, we literally do have like people that we are going to leave behind at some point. Well, I mean, I think that's a couple parted answer, because with as far as my kids are concerned and our grandson, like the legacy that I want to live, and I feel like I've kind of started that, is like just care and nurturing and love and letting my family know that they were loved and special, and the way that they see me with others, treating them the way that I treat my own family. So there's like really no, even though my kids and my grandson are the most special and important things to me, I still treat other people the same way, because I feel like that's how people should be treated. They should be treated like they're the most important thing in the room at the time that you're talking to them, or, you know, that you care about them, or that they're not forgotten. I think that especially people that are single, you know, it's easy to kind of go down a spiral, you know, like kind of like that, like, well, I don't have any kids and I don't have, you know, this, that, and the other. But like, by what people said to you, you know, the other day, like that's unforgettable, how people treat you. You know, you may not always remember every conversation or every place that you hung out, but like if they treated you good, that's kind of one of the reasons why you want to go back, or why you want to continue to be friends. And so from one of the legacies, like I said, that I feel like I am working toward and would like to leave, is just that, like, that Mel was a great friend and a great mother, like a great person to have around for many reasons. And that I actually did care, you know, like I do care about people. I can't help it. It's, you know, it's easier to not care sometimes, because then you don't get hurt.
Sometimes it's a lot harder.
Hell yeah. Like you just, you have a lot. If I think about like so many people that I care about and would love to, you know, be there for their events and be there for their kids and like, you know, be a champion of them. And there's just not enough time in the freaking day to do all the things that I would like and expect of myself. Yeah. You know, like I would like to do more stuff, you know, but I have I already do a lot, and I acknowledge that. And so it's not any place of lack. It's really just a place of caring, like I want to support people. I wish I was there for my daughter all the time. I wish I was there for my mom more and my sister. But we have this incredible show. We live here in another state. We've got all these awesome friends. So all of that love and goodwill and care, I try to give to the people that are around me so that I can feel fed and like I'm satiating that part of myself that wants to like be around and love and care for people.
So you feel that too. That kind of was back on what I was wondering is like legacy can be like we've created with the show. We've created a legacy of friendships that have all grown out of this, not just the catalog and like the timeline we have for ourselves and others to go back and listen to, but like the emotion of
I feel
the
like
show.
It's like famships. You know what I mean? Like, like family and friendships, because, there's a few people that we've met since this show that it's calling them a friend is really doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
The closeness, the togetherness, the connection, and the desire to hang with each other and be with each other. Like, I mean, there's best friends and stuff like that, but it just even feels so much more family and like a deeper, like tribal, some kind of like tribal connection. That first part, I guess, was with the show. I mean, I'm sorry, was with my family and my friends, but the show, the legacy here at this stage of the game, almost 7 years in, is really like, maybe a couple years ago, I started to hear this more, where people would come on the show and they'd be like, thanks for what you're doing. And then when we first started doing this, that wasn't something that was a common thing that people would say to us.
No, nobody said that.
Nobody said that. But maybe, like I said, a couple years ago, we started to hear that from more than just one or two people. And I didn't think of it initially, like when I heard that. But I had, because I started, and I have since then, because I've been hearing it more and more and realizing what we're doing is like creating this incredible tapestry of like amazing conversations for people to really get and understand these incredible artists and authors and musicians and everything in between. People. Yeah, the people that we have on. And so the legacy there is just like, everyone's important. Everyone's got a story. There's talent in everyone, or anyone can be interesting. And to be able to pull that out and other people can like share in that and love that and hear like their favorite singer or their favorite bassist or their somebody that they never knew that they needed to know, or
get turned on to new music.
Yeah. And so I feel like that legacy, I don't know what really to call that legacy, but it's an incredible thing that No Simple Road does for the people that are on it. And I'm just proud to be a part of that. And I'm glad that Aaron started this legacy for the three of us to share in, because it really was started by Aaron and it would be his, but it's not solely, it was something that encompassed all of us, no matter what. Like it can't just be Aaron's anymore. It's like
his baking. He made an incredible cake and then was like, guys, come share this with me.
Well, it's just kind of like one of those things where you create something and then it's bigger than yourself, like you make this dope piece of art and you hang it up and now it's in the museum and everyone's buying it and they're wanting reprints and all these kinds of things. Like, sometimes you make something that is so much bigger than just your name and it's out there for the world. And that's what I feel like No Simple Road is.
That's what made me think of this the other night too. This week has been kind of weird. The other night I go to bed, I watched, came on at midnight and I stayed up. I hadn't watched Frida in years. And I caught it right at the beginning and was like, I'm going to watch a few minutes of this and go to sleep. And I ended up watching the whole thing.
It's incredible.
I was like in tears and like that, the legacy that like she had created and everything. It just, a lot of that has just come up in the last week of thinking
beyond yourself.
About the past and what you've built up to this point and what you're building still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing at the same time, mortality of like me and my nephew brought that, like how long do you think you're going to live? It's like, I'm 55, that a lot of people would consider middle-aged. And it's like, no, because middle-aged, I would be living to be 110.
Yeah, dude, you're
be
a
right
senior
in the middle.
citizen now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you start to think about those numbers more. And it's like, holy shit, we don't like to look at things like a number because we don't.
It's different now though, man, because just like when we started talking about this, like Kim Gordon's 70 whatever years old. Age is different now.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
People are healthier, they're sharper, they're more intact, they're living longer,
working longer.
So where somebody was old when we were in our 20s or whatever is not the same thing now.
Yeah,
it's a different trip.
That's another one. Just this morning, it reaffirmed like what I picked as my topic. The thing with your mom came up, which is amazing. Your mom is amazing,
dude.
In her 77
years old. I thought it's this year. She's 78,
and she don't act it or look it.
She's either 77 and gonna be 78 at the end of the year, or 78 going to be 79. And she is in Barcelona. And just competed and won first place in all of her dancing divisions, tango, this, that, and the other.
Samba, cha-cha.
And bedazzled her entire gown and looked like she looked better than I did. Like, she looks amazing. Her makeup, her body,
it's still
her
weird.
clothing,
It's still
her
weird
smile,
to see my mom
her performance.
Performing.
Doing that.
I was showing everybody at work today because I was like, this is my 77-year-old mother-in-law. Look at her. And she looks like she's 35.
Yeah, it's a trip. My whole life, I've been seeing her perform. And still to this day, it's like, oh my God.
At this point, it should
performing.
Be, dude, this is dope. Like,
I'm proud
your
of
mom
her.
has never
totally proud of her.
looked and done better. Like, even when I first met you and going to the recitals with Sydney and your sister Sydney and Allie and all that, like, I feel like she's
reverse aging.
Yeah, she's kind of come into her own, and she looks like she's having such a blast up there. And
yeah, she's stoked.
And even us seeing her a few weeks ago, she's like sturdy. There's no like, she's not like,
she's not a frail old lady.
No, she's not like hunching over and like walking slow and talking slow. No,
if she slugged you, it hurt.
Oh yeah. Her and not just perform. Her entire life of performance has been very physical stuff.
It's incredible. She's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to the legacy thing, as you're talking about, I'm sitting here right across the room from me on the, there's a bookshelf across from me. It's got a bunch of books and knickknacks and Grateful Dead paraphernalia and stuff. And there's a couple of pictures of my dad on there. And not to make this dark or negative, but I've got to go there because it's pertinent to this. It's
You're
like,
allowed to
that's
be
what
wherever.
I thought of the subject. It's heavy, but
my dad was a lot of things in his life, kind of like me. Like, he wore a lot of hats. He was a ambulance driver. He was
highway patrol.
He was in the Korean War. He was a movie producer. He was
quick draw gun.
In the Guinness Book of World Records for being quick draw. He produced the first afternoon show in Las Vegas. He did the first topless review in Las Vegas. He was the entertainment director at several Las Vegas hotels. He worked with some of the biggest stars, Jack Benny, Judy Garland, all of them, Frank Sinatra. And he's just gone.
Yeah.
Like that shit, the only place that stuff lives is in my head now. And my asshole brothers. Like, that's the only place that stuff lives. And that's just gone. And I imagine when he was alive, as he was doing that shit, he was thinking to himself, this is my legacy. Because he even said that to me.
Yeah.
And
because what he was doing too was like being recorded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it has a life after he's gone.
Yep. And so I've thought what you guys said about No Simple Road before, but then the practical reality of it is that's not true. It's not going to live forever. Somebody would have to maintain the website. Somebody would have to continue paying for the hosting for all the episodes after we're gone, for that stuff to just be available.
Yeah.
Right. But so it's made me, thinking about that stuff made me think a little deeper about it, and
About the show or about legacy?
About legacy. And because I've thought about this lately too, actually.
Of course, you guys. Bopsy twins over here.
It's just getting older is what it was, and Apple's birthday, and you know, for me, it's, again, when I think of my dad, it's the memories that I have of him that are his legacy with me. I know the stuff that he did, his accomplishments, but I also know what an amazing dad he was, and how smart he was, and how he was able to give you advice on anything ever, and he was right no matter what. He knew about everything, like fucking Yoda.
He really did.
And that's his legacy, is that imprint he made on me as another human being on the planet, and the imprint he made on you and and Simon and all the people. Yes. So for me, it's the lives that I've touched and the imprint that I've made on their hearts. That's the legacy that I am going to leave. Yeah. No Simple Road is fucking dope. And we have a huge catalog of amazing conversations that make people have the opportunity to get to know the creators of the wonderful art that they love in a completely different way than they normally would have. And that's really special. I'm not discounting the value of what No Simple Road is at all.
But like you said, that's going to live on in people's.
That's it. There'll be memories.
Yeah.
The people, like you said, that we've met people that are beyond friends and family at this point. It's tribal. When we're gone, those people will remember us and the things that we did together, and the places that we went, and the things that we saw, and the music that we experienced.
So you're equating that legacy more to memory.
That's all it is.
That makes sense.
Unless you have a ton of fucking cash and can leave a legacy for people.
Yeah,
literally leave an inheritance
or like a library.
Yes.
The Aaron Schaefer Memorial Library that'll live forever because I bought it and paid for it. My name's on it.
Just pay for hosting forever.
Yeah,
for the show, and be like, this is never going away, which might be something to look into.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, this is never going away. I don't want it to disappear. Then that's...
Well, because I remember you bringing this up a while back too about Jasper, and like, you know, whenever we're gone, I mean, well, first of all, we're young enough, and he's young enough to where we get to grow together, and he's really going to know us. God forbid something happens tragic and we're pulled out of his lives at any point. He has this until till whenever to like listen back and know who we are, to listen back and know who Apple is. Why was Apple so important? We all know it now because we're here. But when you're young and little, you take things, don't even take it for granted. You just don't know yet.
I just remember.
Do you know what I mean?
And when you're his age now, like 5, or your memories are not concrete. You have bits and pieces
fragmented.
As you get older.
I remember the last time I spent time with my dad before he passed, he had a storage unit that had like all these beta tapes, cassettes of like shows that he did and shooting old Vegas hotels and like a bunch of his shit was in there. And he was like, whatever you do, don't let anything happen to those tapes. You've got to keep those tapes. They're going to be worth so much money. And I didn't. And I wish I would have now. I wish I would have listened, dumbass. And that's the same thing I feel with No Simple Road. Like, somebody's going to have to take care of this after we're gone.
It's, after having Crystal on the show too, and just being her friend, and her talking about the material items that we all incur through a life of, living, even if you're 30, you've collected a good amount of stuff.
Dude, just think of, this is stupid. Think of all the stickers you have.
Just the three.
There's probably an entire big banker
and
box
who's
of
gonna
stickers.
want that? That came through my mind when I was thinking of this too, is having Crystal on, because she really talked about this. She was like, 95% of the time, your kids, nobody wants your shit.
They don't want your junk.
When you die, you
literally
hardly
is that.
want your shit. That's why it's in boxes and stored away, and you don't look at. Then it's like, here, have this shit that I've had in a box for God knows how long.
I'm gonna leave it to you.
It's really important.
Like
to me.
I know with my mom and dad and stuff. There's a couple things that I'd want of theirs, and other than that, it's just like, this is somebody else's stuff, even though it's your.
But then
family.
I think about it from another perspective too. So say we're like, all of us are like, you know what? That's so true. Let's get rid of all of our fucking tchotchke shit and all of our posters and sell it to people or give it away to people who it'll mean to something now. Then we live in this empty shell. And,
I don't
then
think you
what?
have to go to those extremes.
You don't.
There's nothing here. No,
you don't
you
have
keep
to.
your favorite shit.
You don't have to go to the extremes, but I guess my point is there does come a time when you're alive and well where you should be thinking about where you could be thinking about that. And what if you have children, do you want them to go through an endless amount of boxes that have photos from family they've never met because they were too young, or, grandma, so-and-so's dishes because they came from the war and they are, handed down. It seems like it, but nobody wants little frilly laced up, plates, or if they do, then you sell that and get the money. It seems trivial, but those things really do hold you down. And then you have, like yourself, a warehouse full of stuff that you just end up throwing away because there's just too much. You can't go through it all.
Didn't know what to do with any of it. It was.
You could have gotten another storage and just, I'm going to pay for the storage and come and look whenever I can.
And then when I died, I'd be like, you better take care of Grandpa's tapes. It's really important.
I got the storage unit to keep them there. Now it's your responsibility. They're degrading. You better hurry up and get them transferred. It's expensive to get them
the Owsley Stanley
transferred.
Foundation.
But look at the legacy that they did. The Owsley Stanley Foundation.
Totally. Maybe we'll have
Something
the No Simple
different.
Road Foundation from Jasper and Simon and Sydney. Who knows?
Well, that's what I thought of too, because we throw it out there all the time, like personally, and as the show, we always talk about having the No Simple Road farm.
Yes.
And then obviously I don't have anybody that would be given to or anything. It's your family. It would be given to your kids and Jasper and stuff like that. And
I think, again, I don't mean to make this go back to going to shows or anything like that, but
it can't be, because that was your specific instructions. You're and the topic can't be. Try not to make it about music, because we do music all the time.
No, I'm saying that the experiences that we have at live music with the people that we love are some of the most impactful times in our lives. Right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
In this stage of our life, that's where we're finding the most bang for the buck, so to speak, and creating a lot of memories with a lot of people. And that's where the legacy is right now.
And then that's also the main event where we get to see all of our friends. Mm-hmm. We all, when we get lucky enough that a majority shows up to a show, it's so awesome. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was good. Apple. Good job, man. No?
It's been on my mind.
Well, I mean, it's really kind of ironic that you talked about the legacy too, because I have been thinking about this. I didn't think to mention it today or talk about it today, but especially after bringing that up, I have been thinking about ancestors, and there's a lot of things that have to do with that. But some of the things that I have been thinking about is ancestors and what they leave you, like their legacy, in the form of like disease, in the form of like money, in the form of gifts, in the form of things that like the way that you look, right?
Yeah.
Like these are all these.
I got a nose from my ancestors. That's
Totally. I got a butt from my ancestors,
God.
you know. But no, like there's so much going on these days about like healing ancestral trauma, and there's a lot of like these buzzwords and things like that. But however you feel about it or not, our past definitely comes up into our future and in our present. It does.
Explain that, because please.
Explain it.
Yeah, how?
Well, whatever, like all of, like it's okay. I'll explain it like this. It's the pebble in the lake. By the time that ripple gets to the edge of the lake, it is not the same time that the pebble touched it. It takes time for that ripple to go out and to affect the rest of the lake. And so it's the same thing with ancestors. There are certain things that they accomplish or do in their life, but they don't always get to see how their grandkids were raised or how their children grew up or what they've accomplished. And so there's like some families leave things for their kids to do for them, not on purpose, and sometimes on purpose.
Like clean up my storage unit. Like, here's this business and now, dad's gone. Now what do we do? What do we do with this business? How do we and furthermore, ancestral traumas. There's a lot of shit that our ancestors have gone through. Maybe like if you're like, from another part of the world and, immigrating to America, and all the things that they've had to see and go through and live in poverty and climb their way up and, start a business because they always knew that you should start a business instead of work for somebody, all these things. And so there's that element of trauma and what they've gone through. And there is a ripple into our life, whether we know it or not. There's a ripple of, if your grandmother grew up with a lot of pain and sadness, it spread to your mom. That's the ripple. Emotionally, most likely.
Yes. And if your mom was raised by your grandmother and got those ripples, those emotional ripples, you know it too.
Yeah.
You feel
Past.
it now also, because that ripple went on to it furthered out. Up to you to find out why your mom was sad or mad and treated you the same way, but you could also just be another ripple, or you can question it. And so I guess my question about ancestors is, how tied to your ancestry are you? Are you aware of any family traumas, and have any of them affected you? And maybe on the other side, any family blessings or anything that was helpful that your family passed on?
Well, I mean, yeah, yes and no. Like, without spilling anybody's super personal stuff. Like,
no, we don't want to do that. We're talking about ourselves, but we don't got to be detailed.
On one of my sides of my family, there's some pretty serious mental illness there. Like schizophrenia, mental illness, and suicide, and pretty heavy shit. And that was carried down by that side of the family in the form of bottling up emotion and not letting anybody see when something was wrong. because things at home were so out of control that they had to like put up a front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pretend like everything's
Pretend
cool.
like everything was cool. So that
for themselves and for
to
the
be able just to
outside
cope,
world. Yeah.
just to make it through the week.
Yeah.
So that was passed down to me.
And so, okay, I guess deeper into that is like, how have you felt that, and how has that manifested in you?
That was the foundation of my addiction, was that I didn't know how to deal with
the quieting of
shit.
everything.
I didn't know how to deal with shit. Like,
because everything was like covered up.
You just act like everything's cool, no matter what.
But then deep down,
but then
it's
inside,
not cool.
there's a storm happening, and you're gonna break. And so I was medicating for that, you know. Yeah, you know this.
Well,
I mean, this isn't news for you. And then on the other side of it,
we're having a podcast.
no, I know. On the other side of it is like, I think about my ancestry, right? Like, I'm 51% Ashkenazi Jew and 40-something% Romani and some Russian and Egyptian and a couple other weird things. And those ethnic groups of people have gone, like the Romani and the Jews specifically, have gone through some heavy ethnic cleansing, persecution, slavery, insane shit. So I think to even go a step further, other than like just passing it down emotionally.
Well, yeah, I said all of it. Not
right.
you used the word
just
emotional,
to go
yeah.
a step further, other than passing it down emotionally, is like the things that happen to people in their lives is stored in our DNA, right? And then those people that have had those triumphs, traumas, or whatever, procreate and have offspring, and those offspring have that DNA in them. And there's genetic memory in each one of us that is the memory of all the people that came before us in our bloodline.
Nothing
right?
gets lost.
No, that it's computer code. It's vibrational. It's frequency. It's a thing. It's real. Like they're figuring out right now. This is crazy and off topic, but they're figuring out right now how to use DNA to store information as like computer memory, but
like a hard drive,
like a hard
putting
drive.
it on there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Coded
that's kind of like you're getting to it. How, you know, the question and my thoughts about it, because that exactly, you were saying how, when I asked like how, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Through blood, through like personality, through all of it. It's like that's why I'm saying your past is directly tied to your present and your future. You can never get away from it in that sense. Like, you are who you are, and the things that have created you, that's it. Once you're created, you're created. You can't be created again. You can't. You can add to it, but you can't do it again.
Yeah. And so I think that, like, without even without knowing it, that's like nature versus nurture kind of thing, where like the way that I respond to situations and adversity in my life, that stuff that I was just talking about a minute ago plays a part in that.
Have you thought of that before?
Oh yeah. This is one that, like, I've thought of since we moved to Portland. My dad's grandfather, my great grandpa, who I never met, he immigrated from Russia to the U.S. to Portland, Oregon, and started the Broadway Cab Company here in Portland. And when the first time we came to the Pacific Northwest, I felt at home here. And I had never felt like that before. And it was really unsettling to
I
me.
remember
It was
that.
a trip. So much so that we uprooted our lives and moved up here. And I think that that is epigenetic. I think that is genetic memory that's in my body that is tuned to the frequency of this place because my great-grandfather was here.
Yeah, it's coded in
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Well, it's like that thing they talk about smell. I saw a thing on that talking about that how strong the smell sense is. You can smell something that is not your scent, that is an ancestry built into you, that triggers memories of an ancestor.
Dang.
Whoa.
That's how strong that coding is and stuff. Like it could be something you've never smelled in your life, but then it gives you that deja vu feeling. Like you're just saying, like when you came up here, it was like, I feel at home, but I've never been here.
Mm-hmm.
We can sense and feel those things from ancestors that are in us. And that's a trip right there that can trigger, like, it's your great grandmother's memory of smelling this thing that you've never even smelled.
That's wild. So yeah, that is a concrete example of how that has affected me in my life for sure.
So, okay, the follow-up question to that is there anything you can do about it to help it along, to change the memory or mend it, or I don't know. Well, I mean, he hasn't gone yet.
I don't know, man. To change a memory, no. I don't think you can change a memory because a memory is a memory, right? Like you're remembering something that happened. But your perspective of it,
yes,
or
your perspective,
how it affects you, sure, you can do that work to make it not hurt anymore or not make you angry or sad or whatever. Yeah, you could do that. There's a lot of ways that you can dig into that stuff.
Well, I'm not talking about the greater person. We're talking about our personal selves in this conversation.
Too, like Aaron said, kind of the root of his addiction too, that so many people try to erase, get rid of memories, replace them by substance abuse and stuff. That's very common. Like people, like alcoholics, junkies and stuff. You're trying to get rid of that with
scrub it.
With artificial stuff from our world that it just temporarily works. That shit's it's going to be there. That shit's waiting.
To be honest, I don't have anything that like
plagues you
ancestrally that's plaguing me right now at all. I never have. I mean, other than what I said in the beginning. I don't have anything that I've like been thinking about or
it's just been like
for me.
It's just a thing that I've been hearing a lot, this ancestral trauma, breaking these cycles and going forward.
The new buzzword in the spiritual community.
Well,
and hey, for $9.99,
but more than just the spiritual community, like especially like when people are talking about like the earth is going through something right now and like it's coming to an awakening, and like that is also in that, like, how do we know? We feel it. You know what I mean? Like this can't be measured, but we all can kind of feel that something is different than before.
Yeah.
What about you, Apple?
I right off the bat, the number one thing, I have a good example that's like the yin and yang of that is my upbringing with my mom. My dad's in my life, especially much more now and everything, but I was pretty much raised by women. And I was raised by women that my grandmother, my mom, my sister, my aunt, my girl cousins and everything, very compassionate people and everything. But on the flip side, neurotic, completely what do you call it? Like, shit, I just had the word. Like the TV commercials. Do you see spots? Yeah, I see spots.
Oh, hypochondriac.
The hypochondriac. Yeah, on one side, hypochondriacs, everything like that. So that taught me as far as the ancestry thing, and my grandma was the worst. You'd said it, that my grandma, it got passed from her mom, my great grandma, who passed it on to her, who passed it on to my mom and my sister. would create sickness. And Aaron's known me my whole life. I used to be a much more sickly person because I would totally.
Well, even from living here, Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From-
Since we
from the-
moved up here, it's
yeah.
been the biggest shift in my life of coming up here to a place that well, not just feel that I know of, a place that is healthier for me, has been ever since the day we moved here. Climate, everything about it, is completely different. But that is really an impact on me. And I had to work on the other side of changing it, not having that hypochondriac thing and getting a little sniffle, because that was my grandma, and apparently that I barely knew my great grandma. It was also on my dad's side with his mom, who I barely knew, but was a hypochondriac also. And
You get a little sniffy, like, oh my God.
and well, my grandma is one of the worst. My grandma freaking loved Valium. Like I remember
Who
like
doesn't?
offering me Valium when
Freaking
I was
awesome.
like 12 or 13,
about
and my mom would be like, no, I'd be like, oh, I got a headache. Oh, you need a Valium. Like
Dang.
oh, I'm depressed. You need a Valium. Oh, I'm hungry. Well, take a Valium and have something to eat. Like that was really their thing. Which
They did call it mother's little helper. Dude.
Yeah, and it was all those women in my family I mentioned were and still are on antidepressants and all kinds of pharmaceuticals and stuff. And I luckily found self-medication through cannabis, started when I was 12, 13 years old, and it's been part of my life forever. I even tell doctors that when you had the same thing. You go to a doctor at our age, and they're like, okay, they're like, you didn't fill out your medical history, and it's like, yeah, I did. They're like, you're on no medications. No, I take an Advil once in a while, and I take allergy medication, and they don't believe it. I think they're programmed and that they immediately want to find something wrong with you so they can get you on a medication, because that's more normal than not.
Maybe too, they're seeing everybody that has medication, so they're shocked.
Yeah,
probably they're like,
the
what do you mean?
majority is on something, and the majority wants to be on something. Usually, if you haven't learned how to self-medicate, but that's one of the top ones that sticks out with my family like that, and then. Like the ancestry thing, I've gotten more curious about that since we've moved up here, because like you did the 23andMe and stuff, because I'm interested to know more about my dad's side. That was I don't know that. All I know is that it's almost all Swedish on my dad's side, but I never knew my grandfather on that side because he walked out on my dad and grandma and everything when my dad was like 2 years old, and never looked back, and they never found him until he was on his deathbed. And my aunt on that side of the family reached out and tracked my dad down and found him to let him know, hey, your father's dying, which at that point it's like it's been an eternity. I don't care.
Yeah.
I would like to know you didn't do me wrong. But I'm more curious about that, the ancestry thing, because I think a lot of the strong side in me and the healthier reserve and everything comes from that side. So a lot of my other traits and stuff come from my mom's side of the family and bloodline. And even my grandpa, who was a huge, you remember my grandpa was like 6'8", 6'9", big, tall, lumbering guy, gentle giant. He passed on a lot to me of treating people right, being a good person, stuff like that. My mom always says that. She's like, I see so much of grandpa in you all the time. The way you act and the way you'll do something for somebody else before yourself. When you need something, but somebody else needs something, you're most likely to do something for them first before you take care of yourself. And I kind of got that from that side. So I don't the ancestry thing. I want to look into more because I don't know a whole lot about it. I have a couple books and like the family tree that my sister started looking into when she first started trying to get pregnant, because she wanted to know going into a pregnancy. She knew no medical history from my dad's bloodline with the Olsen family and that Swedish bloodline. So she started to research more to find out if there was any diseases, mental or physical that were in the stuff. So I don't know a ton about my other than I know I'm a lot Swedish on one side, and the other side is also a mix of Scandinavian on my mom's side, Dutch, European, like Irish, a little bit of everything on that side.
What?
Yeah.
Well, okay, for my ancestry, I didn't know a lot about well, first I wasn't raised with my dad, so I don't know much about him. I know his name, I know what he looks like, I know he had a mother, and
that's pretty safe. That's pretty safe to say.
That's it, you know. So I don't necessarily feel connected or know too much. I know I took a lot of my appearance from him also, but then again, I look a lot like my mom too. So that's, you know, as far as like just that superficial line, just, you know, that. But as far as like anything deeper, my grandmother, there's a couple things. One thing was like, and this is a generality, of course, but I grew up with a very macho Puerto Rican family. My uncles, my grandpa, and even the people that my mom dated early on, my dad and my sister's dad, kind of had that same type of thing. But these, you know, there was some abuse, some physical and like substance abuse in that male side of my family. So what that caused in the female side was the needing to like make up for that. And the women are very tough in my family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very manly, if I say like very, very, I feel like I didn't really lose my dad growing up. I lost my mom growing up, because my mom became my dad. And so I feel as if I was raised by my dad, mom, not.
I get that.
Do
you know what I mean?
Because your mom does
so I
have that masculine.
Yeah. And so I feel like I grew up without a mother, a nurturer.
You didn't have feminine guidance.
No,
as
I
a
did
young
not.
Girl, no.
And while my grandmother was alive, she was nurturing, but I was a child. I was a baby. So I think it's easier for women in my family to treat children, of course, like they're like little babies. You know, you hug them, you love them, you know, you put them on your lap, you sing to them, whatever. So I remember those things from my grandmother. But again, there was never really like a nurturing, feminine, softer side. I had to really develop that as a what's the word? Like as
a skill.
Well, yeah, as a skill, but also like as something to satiate me, something to like help myself out.
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, you know, those years when I was like, I became pregnant as a teenager, I was seeking out somebody to love me for sure. But when I had my daughter, when I had Sydney, it was like this incredible thing that I got to love and like try to be a different way.
Trying to break the cycle.
Yes. Literally trying to break the cycle of that harshness, of that kind of eternal anger inside. You know, it's just like this, you wake up with a resting bitch face, you go to sleep with a resting bitch face. Like,
shut the fuck up, eat
you
your
know,
breakfast.
and you know,
and you just live with it.
yeah,
and do
no.
the thing.
And this is no shade to my mom. Like, she had a very harsh
she
father
was dealing
growing
with her ancestral trauma.
Yes. And so, I mean, thankfully, I married somebody who was masculine in a healthy way.
Who?
Some dude that I married.
Well, who's this dude? I mean, I've met your husband now, but who? Oh, no.
I didn't tell you about the marriage. No.
Thank you, baby.
Seriously, like with the help of you, I feel broken off some of that ancestral trauma in my life for real.
So you can heal ancestral trauma just by living your life.
Yeah.
In a different way.
And by making the right choice, like definitely you having Aaron come into your life brought a whole lot more masculine
now
energy with.
But I'll say this: Aaron is masculine, but very feminine in his emotion. Like he has emotion, he shows emotion.
Yeah.
And maybe at first, when we first got married, he was just trying to hide it. It wasn't that he didn't have it; he was just trying to hide it.
Comfortable showing.
Yeah, exactly. So. Us needing each other for a million reasons, but that specifically, that his being able to like be soft with me and actually like love me and be tender taught me that feminine side that I was searching for, that I didn't really realize I needed. I was just kind of like, well, I'm a hard ass. I'm a tough ass. I can do shit. And I was like, I think that it's great in a lot of ways. Why are you laughing?
Because I just pictured you. I came home from work that day and you were up in the fucking gigantic tree over the pool in our backyard with a chainsaw, like with a rope around your waist.
Yeah, that's when you had called me to get over. Like, Apple, can you get to the house and just, I know you're afraid of heights too, but spot Mel. Yeah. If she falls, try to let her land on you or direct her towards the pool.
I feel like those types of actions that I have, like those crazy, like I'm just fucking going for it. That was like the masculine side paying off in me, like without no fear, like, and just like getting things done and like, no, like I'm fine with it. I'll do it. I'll fucking climb a 30-foot tree. Can I borrow your chainsaw, Dad? Like over our pool, no problem. Like
over the pool makes sense,
right? Like,
well, I got to say to you, like you just talk about your family, like your family, like your Puerto Rican heritage. It's tough, but it also has taught me, from knowing your whole family for a while, you guys kind of wear your emotions on your sleeve. They're forward, like have no problem sharing your life and be like you. I kind of come from a little bit more of the background. Like you put things away and you don't talk about trauma. Your family, like
we talk
getting
about
past that barrier. I remember when you guys got married, it was scary meeting your family at first.
My family's scary when you don't.
I got threatened in certain ways by everybody in the family. Some of them were directly like, "I will fuck you." Your mom saying, "You fuck with my, I know you're Aaron's friend and everything. You got his back, but you better have my girl's back, because if you fuck with her, I'll fuck you up." And then kind of the same thing, even down to your sister, who's the most loving person, but has the same thing, kind of like, you fuck with my family, I'll fuck you up.
Like, it's
and once
just
you pass
tough.
that barrier, then it's like, oh, okay.
And like me growing up and seeing and feeling all that stuff, when I was very young, I was very proud of my Puerto Rican heritage. And I loved being Puerto Rican and all, like, I was just proud of it. I thought my family was the shit. Everyone was amazing. And then my family disbanded while we were married, right before Simon was born, or right around the time Simon was born. So this is like 22 years ago. And I was like, they're fucking bunch of assholes. And I don't mean it like that. They're really not assholes, but like they're so stubborn that
some stubborn folks.
There's unforgiveness is like the undertone of my family, and that grosses me out.
That's an ancestral thing.
Exactly. It's leading me to this.
One thing I know is for your family, it's kind of tough too to how to word it right, like your family, like a lot of it's selfish, kind of. Like they're all about like trying to get your uncle or your mom to listen to your problem. Like, this is what's going on. They're like, not enough about you.
Well, and they don't even say it. It's just like you're about to say something real deep and good, and then they bulldoze over like, yesterday I had a Coke and it was good. And like, okay.
What does that have to do with the trauma I'm talking about?
So like, I never even got to like spill my beans, because it was always like, move on, go over.
Mel and I call it shooing flies.
Oh yeah.
Because I will be like doing, trying to swat the fly while you're talking.
Yeah. And my uncle and I love my mom. We have 3-hour conversations. It's great. It's fine. But like, to try to be deep about something that I'm into, no, it's only deep about something that's going on with her.
Narcissism.
And my uncle's the same way. So anyway, that has been an ancestral thing, trauma, issue, characteristic, whatever it is, that I feel as if I have named and are not bringing it forward.
Yeah, no, we did not get passed down to our kids.
Another thing was not having a husband around. That was a huge thing that
we don't need no man.
I don't need no man for shit. You need to be smarter, 10 times smarter than a man, 10 times bolder than a man. Like, my mom just had some dumbass things that she would say. But like, I think maybe 10 years, 12 years into my marriage, I was like, Mom, you were wrong. And she was like, what? And I was like, I do need a man, and you do too. And it's not because you can't do it without him. It's because you need that balance. We need that. And I told her, I was like, my kids are thriving because they have two parents. Listen, I know not everybody can have two parents. What about parents that pass away? What about parents that they just aren't good together and they need to leave, right? Yeah, I'm not talking about that. But when you do have two people that love each other and that raise their children together, I didn't see that growing up.
No, most of us did.
No, me either, man.
But Aaron and I, we gave that to our children, and that
Breaking an ancestral
literally broke that for me, and it, thank you for helping me with that, babe, because
like seeing that you definitely, because now you've broken that with you and it's trickled down to your kids too.
That's true.
They're not, they don't have the same thing.
They don't have hang-ups.
They got the little bits of it here and there.
Well,
I'd say Simon's more broody.
Yeah.
And gets
I think both of them have it in their own kind of a way,
angsty.
But it's like this lessened version of it. And I feel like that's what I was talking about, like healing something in yourself lessens it for your children, lessens it for your grandchildren, lessens it for theirs. The one last thing I would bring up about my ancestry, because I'm finding it very pertinent right now in my life, is the spirituality aspect of my family and how I grew up and I was exposed to. When you walked into my grandmother's house, and immediately to the left of the door was like a cutout. There was a little cutout, and it was an altar, and it had beaded curtains that covered the little doorway, and it had like one of those little things that you could like kneel down like at the church, and it had like Mother Mary and candles, and like it was a thing to behold. But it also, even though it was very religious, it didn't seem religious. It felt magic.
Was it messy?
No, it was legit. It was like, there was like pictures of ancestors there. Like it was like a real thing. And my grandmother, she used to have visions. My grandmother used to get visions, and when she would smoke her cigars, she smoked like those big fat stogie cigars, and she was in a wheelchair for most of my time that I knew her. And so we would sit in her, she had this rocking chair, and she would sit and make smoke in the room and see visions in her smoke and tell me them in Spanish. So I remember this, but I only remember it as a memory. I don't remember the exact things she was telling me. I remember like sitting on, and she would like with her one foot, like push the rocker back and forth, and I'm sitting on her lap, and she's smoking, listening to Spanish music, and telling me these visions. I always thought it was fake until I asked my mom about it, and she was like, oh no, that's legit. We used to have seances and stuff like that inside of the house, and this, that, and the other. And my mom, she had a traumatic thing happen to her when she was little, so she completely pushed any type of spirituality out of her life that wasn't religious. My mom went into, like, we were raised Lutheran, and so we kind of like pseudo Christianity without any real rules. Just you go to church on Sunday and you give money.
Cool.
Yeah, you give money when you can, and Easter and blah, blah, blah.
I showed up.
Yeah.
It's called the shyness of your teen.
But I've always been into magic and just even religion, but not religiosity. Like I love the.
Well, I think that was something that I brought to you.
Well, but
too.
even before we met, that was something that was why I was attracted to you. Like that was something I always wanted to explore, but like didn't have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a huge part of why one of my infatuations with you early on was like, what? Like he's into that kind of stuff.
He's a magic man.
but it was because my mom was like always hiding it and pushing it away to meet somebody who was the opposite sex and openly talking about it and discussing it was really attractive to me in a certain kind of a way.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, he's into that shit. Like, hell yeah. And so my mom spent her entire life trying to push it away. I spent most of my adult life
trying to embracing
figure
it out.
And at this stage of the game, I'm feeling much more closer to my ancestors in that way since learning Spanish.
That makes sense.
That
does
totally
make sense.
Well, this is just like a follow-up, and not really a question to dive deep into because this could take us in a whole nother, but I think we've talked about this and stuff. I feel like doing like mushrooms, doing psychedelics and things, and even ketamine, other things, even smoking weed sometimes opens those channels more to like your ancestors and stuff of feeling like I know there's been many times like I think like when we did our ceremony with the tobacco and stuff out in the wood, and you guys saw I know what I felt, and then you guys were like, you got taller and you're like this like kind of Viking, which leans towards my Swedish heritage and stuff, but I felt like that many times on stuff where I'm me, but I'm way more connected to like feeling like we've all done that, where you look in the mirror, you look at each other and you see that old man that's not really Aaron, but it's like our ancestry coming through.
But do you feel like they have something to say to us? Do you know what I mean? Like
I think they're always talking.
If time is not linear and they're alive somewhere, they're just not alive on this plane, and our DNA connects to theirs. And even our parents are alive, or our brothers or our sisters, whatever, our aunts, uncles, like getting in any kind of altered state, or even like in your dreams or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like
I would say absolutely, because that brings it full circle all the way back to how I began the thing with my sister last week. When they want to get something through, I think that's always in us, but sometimes when somebody that has passed wants to get through to you, they know how to do it, how to get your attention. If it's something crucial or something they want you to know or research.
Do you think it's like Coco?
Yeah, like Coco.
The Disney movie?
Yeah. Like when you put your ofrenda on and you remember them and you talk about them. He was kind of bloody
about it, and then he goes over these like, oh shit.
I think.
You know what I mean? Like the acknowledgement.
Like we were saying, it's frequency, it's vibration, and it's encoded into us. So energy doesn't die. Energy just changes form.
But how, like practically, how do you explain or how do you use that?
I don't know. If I knew, it'd be a completely different podcast. I don't know. I've never.
Yeah. We don't know. We know this plane. That reminds me of Frida the other night. How it kind of closes out. She writes that 2-line note that where she's dying, and it's like, I've enjoyed my time here, but I don't want to come back. It's like, fuck, that's fucking heavy.
Yeah, I'm good.
Like this is all I know, and now I'm done.
That's when you go, ta-da!
I'm going back into the whole hive, electricity, whatever, but I really don't want to come back here, especially after you're dealt a hand like she was, or something.
I feel like part of my grandmother's legacy that she left me was the appetite for spirituality and to know that side of myself, the side that sees visions. My grandmother was a healer. She she had the ability to heal colicky babies. That was like a specialty of my grandmother. They would bring her babies that
How
were
do you
colicky.
figure that out?
Trial and error, I guess. Because
Bring me the colicky babies. in town.
yeah, she would.
Well,
she
and that
had
would have
some
to be
kind of a way
something
with
that
them.
came from ancestry too. Like to have that power in you is something that is built.
Yeah,
over
and
time.
So I'm that part I embrace fully because
yeah.
I
Anybody have
already
a colicky baby. We need to see what Mel
the
can
baby.
do here.
No,
Oh.
I think I'm more for seniors and adults than babies. I definitely, I'm definitely a healer or something old for older people.
Yeah, or older dogs.
Or dogs,
He got the
doggies.
treatment yesterday.
I was thinking today about wizards, and yeah, because I think about wizards, and I was thinking that, like,
of course you do.
in the movies, how come you never see like a 24-year-old wizard?
You're not allowed to be a wizard in your 20s.
You never see a 24-year-old
you don't
wizard
qualify as a wizard
in the
until
movies.
you've got some like
a
shit
wizard
under
has
your belt.
always got gray hair.
Yeah,
and
is
long
wise.
beard, and I know why now.
Why?
Because now that I'm getting older, I know why now. I can't spill the beans, but
you have to collect.
Yeah.
You have to earn being a wizard.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
cannot just get wizard.
you're too fucking excited when you're 24 about shit.
Yeah,
You're
you can't go to wizard school
No,
and graduate in 4
just like-
years and be kicking it at 24. I'm a fucking wizard.
Just like you can't get grandma, grandpa, you have to earn that.
Yeah.
You cannot just be it. You got to earn it.
It's that stupid joke about the two bulls, the young bull and the old bull.
Oh, walking.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't be a 24-year-old wizard. Sorry.
no.
That was what I thought today.
No, but if you're working, not to discourage any 24-year-olds out there that want to be wizards.
That are
you just-
apprenticing.
you just got to put the work in.
Yeah.
It'll
Just keep
happen.
going, man.
Is it like an izzard? And you get the W when
No,
you get the gray?
You're an apprentice at that point.
Yeah,
man.
you're like the sorcerer's apprentice.
Mhm.
You gotta work through that.
That's why
Like you said with
Gandalf
like
is
grandkid.
gray.
First of all, you got to have a kid
Yeah.
that then grows up,
And has
meets
a kid.
somebody, has a kid. That takes
Well,
time.
You know what? Because being a parent gives you certain skills that you don't have if you're not a parent.
Apparently so.
Oh my God.
Very apparently so. I know that's something
So
like
Aaron,
once in a while.
this is
when
my
you-
last question. How did Apple and I do?
I would give you a 9 out of 10.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take
Only
it.
because I can't give you 10 out of 10 because then I have nothing.
Then there's
No
no,
room
for
to
yeah,
improvement.
that's like when you get your review.
I
That's like when
hate
you get
that.
your review
Corporate
at
America
work.
bullshit.
They can't give you a 10.
You brought corporate America into
There's
No
al-
Simple Road.
You
Yeah.
guys crushed it.
There's
man.
always got to be room for improvement. You can't give us a 10 because,
Yeah. And
that's-
you guys are
it's like
getting a
we're
2.5%
performance review.
raise this year. Not
Yeah.
3.
Just keep it.
Yeah.
These are the things you need to work on.
Yeah, you guys crushed. Thank you for doing that. It was really fun. Everybody, go heal your ancestry. Hurry up.
Yeah.
Do it right
Do it
now.
by the time you're
Do it
24.
today.
And
Do
think
it
about
today.
your legacy.
Then I'll call you
like
a wizard.
I did. Yeah. You don't have to have like people to leave things to have a legacy.
No.
Oh man, no, you
It
don't.
doesn't mean just money. But that'd be nice if I will make sure to leave everybody some money.
If
I end up
anybody out
having
there has
some,
got money that they want to leave to us, we are totally
if
down.
you want to leave us your legacy.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll do it. I'll accept it really like graciously and with a lot of gratitude is the word I'm looking
yeah,
for.
gratitude.
Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next. Well, this week we'll see you on Friday with Matt Butler.
Ooh, Matt Butler.
Matt
And this
Butler coming
musical
on the show.
sojourn.
Joined us in the studio a couple weeks ago, and then the week after that is Trevor Clark, who you are going to be introduced to. So until then, take care of each other. Smile at a stranger's safety. Third, hydrate. And
Love one another. Love yourself.
yeah, and you know what? I mean, if you feel like it, if it's not weird for you to do it, do the 23andMe thing, man. It was super interesting
I
for
haven't
me to
done it
find
'cause
out.
it's
I
weird.
did not.
I haven't
know.
either. Me and Mel are on the same boat.
No.
I don't want nobody having my DNA.
They already got
They
it.
already got it.
They don't. 23andMe doesn't.
You never know. I didn't know that I was Egyptian. That's crazy. So anyway, we'll see y'all on Friday. We love y'all. Peace.
I twist and turn the mission think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hey everyone, it's Cam Hurt, host of the Best Show Ever podcast, and we have got a second season coming out very soon that I am very excited about. We've got some very cool special guests, including musical acts that we all love, like Karina Reichman, Daniel Donato, Jake Brownstein from Eggy, Rick and Peter from Goose, and many more. Tune in for new episodes dropping on Osiris Media March 5th on the Best Show Ever podcast.